Hey guys, this market update. I just want to say a big congrats to my American friends out there. The big day, 40 trillion, 122% debt to GDP. Look, UK, Europe, G7 nations, it's all the same. And that's because no one is going to step up and say, I'll take the hit, right? Don't pay me my healthcare. Don't pay me retirement funds. I'll take the hit. No one. Literally no one. It's us. We're doing this. Red or blue, neither have a clue. It's going to keep going up. Trump tried to tariff and tax businesses to pay down the debt, and they sued him, and they won, so it's blown out again. We won't change. No one wants to take the hit. No one is going to step up. And so the way it works is that if you don't realize that, you'll pay for it through your wages and the currency getting debased 10, 12, 15% a year. They're paying for it. And of course, they pay for it, they get annoyed, and that's where they lobby for even more handouts. It goes on and on. So if you do have savings, buy assets, because wealthy people have assets. The best, purest money is Bitcoin. You know that. We're in a huge trend to the upside. We're at the 200 week. Fantastic time to buy. But look, a great stock index, house, gold, anything to get out of this, because this is a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. And if you're in assets, you won't be paying for it. If you're not in assets, then you will do. And your only recourse is to lobby government for various handouts, which actually make things worse anyway. But we all know that it won't change. So you have to get into assets. Look, Bitcoin, will it go down 20% again? It's a silly question, right? It's like, well, it's been going up 30% a year. That's the growth rate. It's at its trend rate of growth. Are we coming to the end of the bear market? A 30% drawdown here for this drawdown. This was around 30, 35% as well. Then from this high, we're down 26%. Look, if you're saying, will it go down 20% or so, it's kind of like, well, what's the relevance of that question? The relevance is that you have to buy the assets over a long period of time, buy over 4 years, 8 years, get a good average price, and toilet paper's up 25% in the last 5 years. So if toilet paper can go up, I'm pretty sure Bitcoin's going to go up as well, right? We're at the tail end of a bear market. Volatility is crushing. You're seeing certain players start to step in. You're seeing certain people just start to bid here, right? They're saying, look, it's at the 200 week. Let's just add. And of course, why wouldn't you? And you can't short it here. You can't short the asset at the 200 week moving average. You can't short an asset going up 30% CAGR that is near its trend rates. It's just untradeable there to go and short, right? So that's why bear markets tend to just kind of bottom on apathy and go around, because shorts can't pile in, because who would pile in to an asset growing at 30% a year at the trend rate? So you can't really trade there short, but then buyers aren't there because buyers only step in when they get confident, right? So that's what we are. So no rush. We're in a fantastic asset. Toilet paper's gone up 25% over the last 5 years. Bitcoin goes up as well. And if we look at the dollar cost averaging calculator here, which I just gave to Gemini here, right? We go in bull and bear markets, right? So we underperformed massively, then we outperformed. Now we're underperforming again in a bear market. Just look at long-term growth rates. Nasdaq's having a stellar year. It's up 20%. Okay, well, a stellar year for Bitcoin is 300-400%. So we're still in that asset that has more volatility, has more downside. You have to sit in it, and then you get rewarded eventually. It has more growth than Nasdaq, right? It does, especially at these levels. If you do trade Bitcoin or you just want to buy it and hold it, do it on Bybit, link in description, click that, sign up, make a deposit. Bybit will give you a deposit bonus to trade with. Have you seen bond yields worldwide as well, just blowing out across the board? Like total disaster, really chaos here. Like US is back to 2008 levels in terms of debt. This could create a big slowdown worldwide because most of worldwide GDP is small businesses, right? Private businesses. Trying to borrow money here is very difficult. But in the big scheme of things, what is GDP doing? Because the game here, right, it's the battle of Ponzi schemes is, if the US is raising rates, or if rates are higher in the US, and they're not printing and they're not dropping rates, none of these countries can do it either, because it's a Ponzi battle. So if the US rates are rising and they're not printing, you can't lower your rates and print your money because you'll get a currency collapse. And that's happening in Japan now. They're keeping their rates artificially low and their currency has collapsed versus the dollar. So the only game here is to try and get your debt to GDP ratio down. Right, so GDP needs to inflate at a higher rate than the interest rate on your debt and the amount that the debt is growing. You cannot reduce the amount of paper. If you reduce the paper, if the Fed rolls off its bonds, right, and if you actually pay off debt, then you reduce the paper, which creates deflation, which means the whole system collapses. So you can't do that. So you have to increase the amount of paper nominally, consistently. And the only thing that you can do is reduce the debt in relation to GDP. But the only way that you can create positive GDP is by printing money, because GDP is measured in the money. So you need to print the money, right? But if the US isn't printing, none of these other countries can print because their currency will collapse. In Japan, what they've been doing is holding their interest rates artificially low in order to debase the debt. They want to inflate GDP at a higher rate than the debt. And so very low interest rates and money printing that will create inflation to increase inflation in relation to the debt. That's fine. But when the US rates are rising like this, then your currency collapses, which is what it's been doing. And that's why Besant stepped in. Let me explain to you the fiat currency Ponzi scheme and how it works. The US is at 120% debt to GDP, so its interest is above its military spending and most other things, same in the UK as well. So why is that happening? The populace votes for government spending to proliferate throughout the economy. I want free stuff, this is what happens, so you spend it, and then you get to a point where your net interest is so high that it's just impossible to service the debt anymore, so then you have to print the money. Commercial banks just cannot print enough paper, it has to come from the central bank. It's a very convoluted way of just distorting the free market. So you get to 120% debt to GDP or higher, what do? You have to debase the debt to GDP by printing money, creating inflation in goods and services, and that will increase GDP and inflation. And the debt, as long as that's going at a higher rate than the debt, then the debt debases in relation to GDP, which means anyone holding the currency or the debt is getting debased. You're literally taking their money away from them as a tax. So if you're in the currency or the debt, you get wrecked. Okay, so the best thing to do actually is to borrow money, because you will benefit from the Cantillon effect of paying interest rates that are lower than the amount that assets are going up, which is what Strategy is doing, right? They borrow at 12% with their preferreds, and they go into Bitcoin, which is annualizing at 30% in the dollars, because it's all the dollar system, and we're in this Ponzi scheme. So you have to print the money, but of course, when you print money, you create inflation. Now, the best version of this is you print the money and it goes straight into assets, which is why we hold Bitcoin. And anyone, wealthy people own assets, right? Because it holds the value versus a currency. So if you're in Bitcoin or a house or the stock market or anything, that goes up in value in relation to the currency because the currency gets printed. That's the best way of doing it, because people that don't own assets, they don't really realize this, right? If the S&P is going up 15, 20%, the Nasdaq's going up 20, 25%, that can go up. It doesn't really bother them, right? It doesn't bother them now. It doesn't bother them the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. They didn't have it before. They don't have it now. What they don't realize is they're getting poorer because those are desirable assets that are going up at that rate. So that's their hurdle rate. Like the toilet paper is your hurdle rate. Toilet paper is up 25% in the last 5 years. Toilet paper is your hurdle rate, right? If you're not making 25%, then you're losing. But you don't know that, right? So as long as assets are going up, people don't really realize. And when you print money, everything goes up. So that's why as a world hegemon, what you really need to do is gain resources through military strength. For example, oil and gas, things like this, right? That would be one way of doing it. Gain those resources, keep their price low, so that the fundamental things that non-asset owners buy stay fairly low, right? Or go up a bit slower. So oil and gas, food and rent. If you can keep those as low as possible, people don't really realize, they get on with their lives and they don't cause trouble. They don't try and vote you out of power, and there's no civil war. That's the best case scenario. Rich people get way richer because they understand that that is the hurdle rate. Toilet paper, 25%, that's your hurdle rate. If you're above that, great news. Everyone below that, the world hegemon, the best they can do is gain control of resources, keep those daily living expenses down as much as possible so they don't create any civil war or any unrest and they remain in power. That's the game. That is what humans do. That's how we behave. This is it. So, as we can see, if you can do that as a world hegemon, if you can get those kind of daily essentials down by gaining military control over resources, then you might be able to stay in power and carry this game on. But you have to print the money, inflate the assets so that debt to GDP ratio goes down. Seize Fed holding rates through year end. All of those rate hike narratives are a joke, but again, that's manipulation of behavior. They need to get inflation expectations and rates down, which are all fake, by the way. The amount of real inflation is what the S&P is doing, right? CPI, PCE is fake. It's totally fake. Who made up these stupid things anyway? Totally. Oh, PCE is the real rate of inflation. Really? No, it isn't. The real rate of inflation is toilet paper, 25%. That's the real rate. The S&P, that's your real rate, because those are desirable assets, certainly in the case of toilet paper anyway. So look, inflation isn't 2%, it's a lie. The real rate of inflation is toilet paper or the S&P. So 20, 25% over the last 5 years for toilet paper. The S&P is like 15% a year. That's your real hurdle rate. So if you're not making that in your savings, then you're getting debased. And of course, what they're trying to do is deflate expectations. It's all fake, right? PCE, CPI, it's all fake. It's a joke, right? They put things in, take things out, lag the data and everything. It's a game, right? Get inflation expectations down, invade some countries, get the oil price way down, inflation way down in consumer goods. Consumer, which is people that don't own assets, as long as that's as low as possible, they won't vote for the other side. They won't start to get annoyed. During COVID, when the rate of inflation in those things goes up to 20%, that's when they get really annoyed. So you don't want that. So the central bank has to step in and, right? The game here is to steal 10% a year, but not 30, because everyone realizes interest rates going higher could create a little bit of softness in inflation. But that's actually bullish, because we know that the real rate of inflation should be negative, but they're going to print, increase inflation, increase asset prices 10 to 20% a year, make sure oil and gas and rent and food is as low as it can be, and keep the game rolling. Bitcoin and crypto are still really small in the big scheme of things, right? So I wouldn't read too much into like price movements short term. Like, oh, macro data is really good, why isn't Bitcoin going up? You had a specific event, the 100K selling event, where every single person in the network just said, oh, let some go here, right? And that just flowed into the institutions. Well, they're the new holders, they don't sell, right? Strategy's selling a bit because he's just traded it awfully. But anyway, it's a small amount. They're going to be net buyers over time, right? The ETFs will be net buyers over time, etc. And crypto's growing properly now with real products, right? Not meme coins and all that joke stuff, right? It's like US treasuries, but you've got BlackRock, JP Morgan, Franklin Templeton, right? These are big players. Look how small it is now, though. 30 odd million, 17. This is tiny stuff, but you can see it. You can see the growth coming in. And if you look at ETFs and tokenized stocks, you can just see this is not going to go away, right? Stocks don't go away, right? All people always trade stocks. So this isn't meme coin stuff or anything like that. This is genuine, proper growth. And of course, it's actually the real business of crypto, which is, look, if you're in America, you're already served. You can go get a Schwab account, JP Morgan E-Trade account, Robinhood. You're served already. There are billions of people out there that never had financial access. That is actually the game, and it's starting to happen. People are starting to actually use blockchains, not because it's a blockchain, just because of the product, and that is a real industry. So crypto's growing, Bitcoin's growing. I wouldn't worry about the price too much because you just can't read too much into it. It is a very volatile asset class with specific reasons as well. We just had the 100K selling event. The war was bad news. Drop it 50%, and that's it. But the game is trillions need to be printed. Bitcoin is still so early. $1 trillion market cap. The US is printing half a Bitcoin network in deficits per month. So this is still tiny, and even just a bit of a sentiment change changes it. But you can't look at the price to determine how to make investments. You just know that toilet paper is a hurdle rate, right? Bitcoin, great stock index. Any asset that is strong and desirable over time is going to go up in value over time. Bitcoin has a big, CAGR, high rate of return, and in a bear market, certainly it does. So where else are you going to buy it? If you do trade or buy Bitcoin, do it on Bybit. Click the link in the description. If you're a new user there, you make a deposit. They'll give you a deposit bonus to trade with. I'm James, it's Money DG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.